What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards Football Sports Talk Radio. I'll be your host and producer for this show, Logan Landers. And of course, we are going into our NFL Atlanta Falcons weekly report, and helping us out, as always, one of the most passionate guys in sports and about his Atlanta Falcons. He said jump back on the bandwagon. We'll get his feelings in just a minute. Mr. Cornel Hardy, looking nice and dapper per usual. How you doing this afternoon, Cornel?
Man, I'm doing okay. How about y'all, man? Great to be back on the show, bro.
Yes, sir. Glad to hear. And of course, Mr. Football himself, Vincent Turner, already had some great shows today, Vincent. Now we're going back to Atlanta talking about these Falcons. How you doing this afternoon?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. Looking forward to it. Looking for Mr. Hardy to tell us about the Dirty Birds.
Yes, sir. And if you guys want to hear an interview we had with a former Dirty Bird, being Brian Jordan, go check out our channel on Facebook and YouTube. We talked to him just a couple hours ago. Great conversation about his career, both in football and in baseball. Once again, go and check that out. All right, Cornel, let's get down to business, get down to brass tacks. What were your thoughts on watching that game against Kansas City? Of course, there was a lot of hoopla over the end of that game, over some maybe not great play calling on the offense for Atlanta. And, of course, we all know that final play was Kyle Pitts. Was there a call that was missed? And that led to the Falcons' demise, of course, because everyone says one play will ruin it all. What were your thoughts initially after watching that game, and what was your key takeaways after that loss to Kansas City?
Man, I tell you specifically, man, I was betting on the Falcons, bro. I think that the Falcons was going to be able to pull it off, win another game at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. At the same time, too, there was a couple of penalties that happened that was uncalled for. One of the main what everybody talked about is the Kyle Pitts. Which Raheem Morris said he like his money. He don't want to talk about it, pretty much. But definitely, looking at the offense and how they was performing and all that. The same question I think many fans, when you have a fan that don't really know about football, but then also know about Kyle Pitts and also about a 6'7", 6'8" tight end, like how come they're not throwing the ball? That's the mismatch. You got DBs that's like 5'10", 5'11" on a 6'7", 6'8" wide receiver. How come we're not throwing the ball to him? Now, my also question too is, hey, cousin, if my tight end is 6'7", 6'8", how come I'm not doing a jump ball like Matt Ryan always did with Tony Gonzalez? Why are you throwing it right down there, straight directly to his chest? So that's another question that we had too, man. But I think the defense did okay. They could have done better. I think the defensive line. I think there's some challenges at the defensive end. Judon was getting there. But I didn't see Lorenzo Carter, with that supposed effort going on with the defense as well. Offense, man, I still think they're still trying to learn the scheme. I still feel that Kirk Cousins still is trying to get healthy. But at the same time, too, I do feel that we could have won that game. We could have executed the game. Special teams didn't look that good for me either. This new kickoff scheme. But especially it's not looking good for me as well.
I'm gonna say this about what happened on Sunday night. I said it early on several previous videos we've done today. Falcons should have won that game. I thought they outplayed the Chiefs.
Yeah,
they had many chances in that football game to win. Defensively, you brought up a good point, Cornel, is that they're still not as where you want to be a pass rushing team and getting pressure on the passer. I think Matthew Judon is going to bring that type of skill set and that type of talent over the next few weeks. The Falcons, in my opinion, are still the best team in the NFC South. I think they just need to kind of put it together. Kirk Cousins seems like he's starting to get healthier. And I think when it's all said and done, especially when they rival New Orleans coming to town on Sunday, I think the Falcon fans are going to be very pleasant because I think Atlanta's going to make a statement in that game and they're going to win that football game on Sunday.
Let's think about it like this. The Falcon, as far as rushes allowed, is 150.3 yards per game. Passes allowed is 208 yards per game. They're ranked number 20th in passes allowed. They're ranked number 27 in rushes allowed. And points per game allowed, 20.3. That's a challenge in itself from the Atlanta Falcons. So they have to improve on stopping the run, improve on stopping the passes, and also points allowed per game. We got to get better. We got to put points on the board pretty much because I think we're averaging like 16.3 points per game. So we got to get better there. And let's think about it now. We want the Falcons to win. The Saints is averaging 34.3 points per game.
Yeah, so who are some of the key players? Obviously, we saw with New Orleans first 2 weeks of the season, they were the hottest team in football. I mean, they were
Yeah.
putting up points in bunches and they looked unbeatable. And this was a brand new ball club. But then last week they came back down to earth. They lost 15-12 against the Philadelphia Eagles. We saw that Derek Carr looked not too great like we've seen in weeks past. Alvin Kamara still got his thing going in the running game, but wasn't as dominant and as prevalent in the passing game. Chris Olave is still going to be a threat no matter what. He's developing into one of the best receivers at such a young age. So how can Atlanta take on these Saints, and what are some keys to victory for them to beat up on their their rivals out there in the NFC South?
Pretty much number one. Alvin Kamara looked like he done got restored and rebuilt like a '68 Camaro. I'm telling you, he's out there handling business, man. He's out there running the ball, and also too, the defense is doing their thing too. Defense is ranked 8th in the league in rushes allowed, 99.3, but they are ranked 25th in the league in passes allowed, 236. So that tells me right there, their secondary is suspect, but they have the ability to prevent a consistent ground attack. So the thing is that we've been trying to get Robinson, Algier going, and I think we're averaging about 4.3 yards per carry. But the Saints are stopping that. Let's throw the ball. Let's just throw the ball. Let's throw the ball. Let's get things started. But the key thing that I noticed, because the inconsistency with the Saints, is simply people forgetting one thing. We talk about the Shanahan tree, and we talk about people that was up under Mike Shanahan, and we already know who we have with Zach Robinson. He came from Sean McVay. Sean McVay was a product of Mike Shanahan. But let's think about this: Gary Kubiak, who was the backup quarterback to John Elway in Denver, who was Mike Shanahan. Mike Shanahan was the head coach at that. His son, Clint Kubiak, is offensive coordinator now for the Saints, who was the passing game coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. So basically, they're running a variation of the Shanahan offense. And if you notice, Alvin Kamara is performing way better from the previous year and the year before that because they run a variation of the Shanahan offense from there. So my key to the game is for the Atlanta Falcons is throw the ball, stop the run, and also Olave gonna get his. But you know what? Let's put Terrell on him. And also too, you got to have a spy. You got to have a spy for Alvin Kamara. If we got to have a spy for Alvin Kamara, I think that's going to be the mismatch because let's think about our linebackers. Anderson is not all the way there, but at the same time, who's going to cover him? Let's go to a nickel. You might have to go to a nickel. Might have to use a nickel back. You know, might have to go Clark Phillips. You might have to go. I think Mike Hughes is already on the other end. But you got to put a spy on Alvin Kamara. You got to stop him from either stopping the run, but stopping him from going outside the pocket, catching that ball. Because we know if you put Alvin Kamara in the open space, it's over with. He's like a Hellcat Dodge.
How do the Falcons get the win at Mercedes-Benz this weekend against their rivals?
It's very simple. I think the Falcons have better talent. I think I would like to see them be more aggressive offensively. Now, think about this. The Falcons, I don't know their injury report, but I know Caleb McGarry is going to be out sometime if I'm not mistaken. To me, get more explosive plays.
Yeah.
Go down the field more. I mean, you got Drake London. You got B. John Robinson. You got Darryl Moody. You got Ray McLeod. You got Kyle Pitts. It's time to really be moving the ball downfield. I want to see the Falcons offense get explosive on Sunday. And Mr. Hardy, I know you talked a lot about New Orleans and their offense, but they scored 91 points the first 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. But you saw when a team plays good defense, like the Eagles did.
Yep.
It's a very simple song by Lucy. I can't think of that band out of Africa. Back to life, back to reality. I'm not too expecting the Saints to be too much. I think Atlanta's going to play in real well defensively, and I think Atlanta's going to come back with a big win on Sunday.
And I also understand why we're holding back on Roro. Roro has not played yet. I know we're still developing him, man. It's a Roro time, man. Put him beside Grady Jarrett. Let's handle some business, man. Roro.
That's true.
Let's get Rook the Nuke. Let's get him out there. How about that? Let's get the big guy out there out of Clemson And we'll see what he can do. We'll see what he can do. But I think personally for the Falcons, you guys brought up some good points. They got to become more explosive. I think that they've been kind of handling it with kid gloves in terms of just their play calling. They got to get more out there. This is where you need to take some big chances. This is where you need to get your playmakers involved. You got to get your Drake Londons. You got to get. It feels like we've been talking about Kyle Pitts needs to get involved in the offense since he's been drafted. Let's get him going now. Let's get him going. Bijan Robinson, Algier. Their running game hasn't been up to par like we expected. This is going to be a tough team to do that against. If they can open up the passing game, maybe we can sneak a couple of runs in there. We know Bijan and Algier are both great when it comes. They're both really solid, reliable receiving backs if they need to be that role. So I think that this is a big game for Kirk Cousins. Your division rivals, anyone's ball game still early in the season. You got the home crowd behind you. It's going to be packed out there at Mercedes-Benz. That Arthur Blank's going to be there. They just put him in the Ring of Honor, had the free hot dogs and chips last week, so they're going to be happy still. And I think this is a week where the Falcons can, rub some dirt on your shoulders and say, all right, we took a lump against Kansas City. Look, it's Kansas City. Those are the champs. That they're going to look great again this year. But they were competitive, which I liked. There was a couple of plays that, like I said, maybe didn't go in their favor. A couple of situations that if they turned differently, they might have won that ball game. But it was a close game. They were competitive. I liked the game for the most part. But I think this is where they come back to reality. If you're Atlanta, you look good against a formidable opponent in the NFC South with the New Orleans Saints. And if you get a good win here, that's a great statement victory and can hopefully propel you for even more wins in the 2024 season. Cornel Hardy, appreciate you coming on the show as always, giving your thoughts on these Atlanta Falcons, and of course, Mr. Football Vincent Turner for providing your in-depth analysis. I've been your host and producer, Logan Landers. Guys, going out there, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe on Facebook and on YouTube. And until next time, we'll talk to you again on another Atlanta Falcons Weekly Report. We'll see you later.